In this video, we will discuss two most fundamental skills for IELTS reading. We're discussing skimming and scanning. You may say that you already know these two skills, you've heard of them a lot. However, it's a known fact that 90% of candidates, and sometimes even experienced teachers or instructors, don't really have a clear understanding of skimming and scanning. In this video, we will try to make it as clear as possible, and we will see the exact moments when do we use them and how to avoid mistakes with scheming and scanning. Now, the first question comes, why scheming and scanning are important? Well, what IELTS asks us to do in IELTS reading is to comprehend. So the first skill that IELTS clearly asks us to have is reading, put it, reading comprehension. Now, what is reading comprehension? This is basically reading and fully understanding. I'll put it here, fully understanding. Now, don't confuse this with anything else. This is as clear as it is. You gotta read the sentence and you gotta fully understand this. You shouldn't be matching keywords or matching synonyms. You may have 10 keywords that match or 10 synonyms that match. If you keep choosing answers without understanding, just based on keywords, you will keep having mistakes no matter what. You want to get a high score in IELTS. You must start calming down, not hurrying, and to start understanding every single sentence that you choose to read. And this is the keyword here, choose to read. Now, you may say, okay, you just told me that I gotta fully understand. Isn't skimming and scanning not about full understanding? So how come they're going to be important in IELTS reading? Let me make it clear here. While reading and fully understanding will get you to correct answers, skimming and scanning will help you to get the correct answers a little faster and with little less effort. Right now, I'll make clear every single one of them. Before that, let me give you a very general understanding. Let's say you start the test, you have three passages, and you have 100 units of attention. Yeah, let's just imagine as simple as possible. You have 100 units of attention or 100 units of intellect, and you have two choices. You can spend this 100 units on every single sentence of passage one, or you can use scheming and scanning and spend it only on the parts that are important. In this case, you may waste like 90% or 70% of your energy just on passage one because you had to stop and understand every single sentence without choosing what sentences to read. And you may not have enough energy left for passage two or passage three, or you may not even have enough time left for passage two or passage three. However, here, you already know and you already pick what sentences to spend your time on. So you skip sentences that are not important. Here you'll spend 20%, 30% of your energy. And the same goes for your time. You'll spend 20% and 30% of your energy on every passage if you use skimming and scanning. So skimming and scanning don't get you to correct answers. They just help you to get to those with less energy and with spending less time. And that's it. So let me make a clear sentence here. Never ever, I put it here, never ever use skimming or scanning when actually choosing an answer. Actually choosing an answer. Use those skills only for finding the location. That's it. Um, a lot of students know that I'm usually against scheming and scanning, and I've been fighting and advocating against it because simply of this. I know that a lot of candidates simply scan and skim and immediately choose an answer without having reading comprehension. However, when skimming and scanning are used professionally, people are actually scoring well as they're reaching their goals in terms of IELTS reading. So know this clear distinction. To find the location, use skimming and scanning. However, when you found the location, after that, you gotta calm down, spend as much time as possible, don't worry about it. You're picking what to read, and use your reading comprehension. You read slowly, and you fully try to understand what you're reading. Right now, we're gonna break down skimming and scanning separately so we can use them effectively. Let's first start from skimming. So what is skimming? Let's make it as clear as possible. Now, the translation here would be for Russian, скольжение. Скольжение. In Uzbek, that would be, let me put it here, sırpanish. So you can imagine these actions when skimming. Sometimes the translation doesn't make sense. I'll give you the clear function here. So skimming is when you quickly go through some parts of the text, or maybe the whole text, and we'll look at that to get a general understanding. So what I want to say here, skimming is not just an exercise of eyes, where you just move your eyes from left to right or right to left without understanding anything. Uh-uh. Skimming still requires understanding, but much less than full comprehension. Usually that could be 70%, 50%, but never less than 50% of understanding. For skimming, two principles are important. First principle is that you need to have, let me put it here, you need to have a purpose, some reason to skim. You need to know what you're searching for. What I mean here in IELTS context, you need to skim through the questions first so you know what you're going to search in the text. Second principle will require a little more confidence here. So you skim, right here, you skim until you get the general idea. When you get the general idea, you stop reading or you stop skimming. That's it. And you check if the idea you understood is correct by reading the last sentence of the paragraph. All right, right now, let's work with very specific and clear example. Let's say my goal right now is to go through top 5 horror movies and have general understanding. And to do that, I don't have much time. So I'm just gonna skim through. Okay, let's go ahead here. I have a lot of horror movies here, and we'll go through one by one. Do I care about the name? No, I don't really care about it. Do I care about the actors? No, I don't really care about the names, actors, when it was produced. I just care about the general plot. What is the movie about? For that, I'm gonna skim and just go through real quick. Alright, so James Hawk's a pool cleaner, hunting vampires. So I guess it's about vampires. Alright, long time stuntman, including Mortal Kombat. So it's like Mortal Kombat and Iron Man. So it's gonna have a lot of action. Alright, in order to get Dave for his daughter, return his slaying. What slaying means killing. So there's gonna be a lot of killing here. He recruits Old Buddy to help him out. Alright, a lot of adventures, a vampire. So what I understand here is that it's an action movie with vampires, and there's going to be like a team of people because he's going to hire somebody and recruit somebody. So a team of vampires having like a horror adventure where they kill people. That's it. All right, next one. Here, do I care about the name? If the name gives me information, then it is good. If it doesn't give me information, then I'm gonna skip it. It gives me information, it says vampires, so it's also about vampires. Okay, so what's the difference then? All right, Ron, so it's a comedy. Okay, I can say it's a comedy. So it's hilarious, it's very funny, it's with teenagers. Okay, it's about the New York City social commentary. So it's going to discuss some social issues there as well. So it's a bit psychological, and there are going to be jokes there. So what I understand, this is also about vampires, but this one is going to be a little more funny, and it's going to be a little deeper than this. This one is like about action. This one is about psychology. All right, and jokes and comedies. Okay, next one I have. So we have a ghost. The name gives me information, so it's going to be about ghosts, not vampires. Let's go through. All right, established, one of the best directed horror movies, horror comedy. So it's a comedy as well. About the genre, adapted short story. All right, moves into home, with poltergeist. So that's a ghost. So it's a house with a ghost. Okay. Anthony, his father. So there's not much here. It says capture the ghost. So it's like a typical horror comedy movie where they try to catch a ghost. That's it. Okay, let's go with this. Hurt eyes. Now, it doesn't tell me about anything, so the name here is not important. All right, so it's going to be a Valentine's Day. All right, a date, so dating somebody. Okay, couples. So it says targets couples, so it's about killing couples on Valentine's Day, on a romantic day. All right, so there is a couple here. These are the names of that couple. So this is the killer's target. It's a bit of a comedy. It's a horror. All right, so I guess it's also a comedy. It's about a guy who kills people on Valentine's Day. So it's also a little more psychological. Okay, I'm done skimming. So when my friends ask me if you researched, I'll clearly say yes. I can tell you about each movie. I skimmed real quick. So this is an action with a team of vampires, just having typical Hollywood action adventures. Here, this is a little more psychological. It's should be the most hilarious one with a lot of jokes, and it's going to discuss some social issues with teenagers, as I understand. This one is also a comedy, but it's not about vampires. It's about ghosts. It's about catching ghosts. Very typical. This one, I think, like the deepest one, probably the most unsettling one, about a guy targeting people on Valentine's Day and killing couples on that day. And it's a little bit of comedy as well. So what happened here? I read very, very fast. I didn't read every single word. I focused on key parts that caught my attention, and I kept building my understanding based on this little chunks of what I could find here. And skimming, it's not really important you get the whole idea. 60%, 70%, and 50% of understanding is more than enough here. All right, let's get back here and let's discuss how can we use this. All right, maybe it's useful for choosing films. How am I going to use this in the context of IELTS reading? Now, there are two situations when you will need skimming. All right, the first, the most common, and probably the most important part is for previewing the whole passage, previewing the whole passage, vесь passage, bütün passage'ı preview qilish. When I say preview, it's like getting the general understanding of the whole passage. So first, we skim questions. So how it works here? First, you skim questions to get the general understanding of what you need to search for. After this, you skim the whole passage to have the general understanding of what paragraph is about what. All right. First, why do we do this? We do this for two simple goals here. First of all, to have control over the whole passage. So you don't feel like you're lost. You don't feel like maybe maybe ответ выйдет в другом месте. You'll be sure what each paragraph is about. Right now, when I'm going to give you an example with IELTS reading passage, you will see it and hopefully it will make sense. And the second purpose here is very specific. It is to avoid focusing on wrong locations, which is one of the most common mistakes and one of the most common reasons why people end up wasting their time in IELTS reading. Right now, I'm going to give you a real example from IELTS Cambridge 19, Test 2, Passage 2. Okay, let's say I have this question. So it asks me to find two facts about Emma Raducanu's withdrawal from the Wimbledon tournament. So they say, which two facts are in the text about Emma Raducanu? Okay, the person who doesn't skim the whole passage will probably think that all locations are here. Because look, it says Emma Raducanu right here. And probably both answers, so I need to choose two facts. And probably you think two facts are here. And even if they're not here, even the smart candidate will keep sitting here and will keep searching for the second answer and keep making themselves believe that the answer is here and creating connection where it doesn't exist. However, the candidate who previews the whole passage, who has control over the whole passage, will have a clear idea and know that maybe one answer is here and another answer is actually here. Because Emma Raducanu is repeated, and you can find her location again a little bit later. And you will see this happen with a lot of passages. Unless you preview the whole passage before you start answering the questions, you preview every single paragraph and you have idea of the whole passage. It will be hard for you to have control and know that sometimes the location of one question can be in two different places, not only in one. I hope that makes sense here. Okay, we're going to go ahead here and talk about scanning now. When it comes to scanning, I think translation is not that important. It usually doesn't make sense. So in Russian, this is skanировать, and in Uzbek, it's the same here. In Uzbek, that would be scan qilish. Now, let's look at the function. What does that mean exactly? Now, we scan not to have any understanding at all. You just quickly move your eyes. Well, here you just move your eyes. You don't have to read actually. In skimming, you have to read a little bit. You need to have some understanding, minimum 50%. Here, you don't have any understanding at all. You just move your eyes to search for a specific word, and that's it. However, for scanning to succeed, you must know exact word here. The specific word must be defined exactly. Not just, I need to search for a noun. I mean, the passage will be full of nouns. It will be hard to find. So you gotta know. So I gotta search for a noun for that type of word, or for a name of a technology, for a name of a person, for a date at the start of some period, for a color of some item. It should be as specific as possible. So here it is important to be, I'll put it here, as specific as possible for you to scan as effectively as possible. Now here, we don't care about understanding at all. We care about specifics. And right now, we're going to work with the same example of horror movies, and I'll give you a clear example. Let's say my friend told me, just man, find me a movie with Snoop Dogg. That's it. We don't care about anything else. Find me a movie with Snoop Dogg. So what do? I just move my eyes through the text, and if I see the name Snoop Dogg, I'll just choose it. That's it. I don't care about anything else. Okay, let's go. So here, what do? From left to right, I move my eyes and search for word Snoop Dogg. So I see here Mason, Olivia, I don't see Snoop Dogg. Okay, let's go here. Here, I'm seeing some Jahi, David, Quinn, Freaky, Christopher. I'm not seeing Snoop Dogg. Okay, next one. All right, here I'm seeing Michael, New York City. So I'm searching for words that are capitalized. С большой буквы. Код карты yazılıyor со знаком драма, because names are usually used like that. I don't have too many names here. Okay, let's look here. I see Jamie Foxx. I see Perry. I see Snoop Dogg here. That's it. This is all I need. I don't care about other parts. So Snoop Dogg is Snoop Dogg. I found my answer is here. The name of the movie is Day Shift. So this is basically how scanning works. I hope that makes sense here. Okay, so how about IELTS context? Okay, it helps me to find a horror movie. Well, how does it help me in IELTS reading? You'll have to understand that IELTS reading is going to be mainly about skimming, a little less about scanning. Scanning is used with any type of questions that involve içi any form of note taking. Right now, I hope you have clear understanding of both skimming and scanning. And right now, we're going to use both to work with the passage one.